let's talk about Dead Butterflies. Any sort of background you can give on the song first, and then let's talk about the brilliant video for it second.
Well, the song's amazing. I think it's one of the earlier ones. I say it, Matt. The song's amazing. I love it. It's a good song. It's a great song, and one that we worked really hard to make really special. I think it was probably the first one off the record that we wrote that was a bit more creative than the others, a bit more exciting, and a bit more in a world where we hadn't been yet. And the moment we managed to get the French horns on there and we were listening into them being recorded, and that's when things started getting really exciting, taking that leap into another world and crossing that sort of the heavier side of our band with the more sort of like organic and old instruments of the French horns and the strings together. It just made for a really great dramatic piece of music. And we knew as soon as we started getting the mixes in for that song that it was a special one. It was originally close it was close to opening the record actually as well. There was a few discussions where we were like, fuck it, let's just have this one as the first one, and in the end we changed it up a little bit. But yeah, I'm so glad that it became a single in the end, because at first we weren't really sure where it sort of sat with a sort of single vibe or whether it needed that. But we played it at the Royal Albert Hall, and that was before the album came out, so it was a sort of people could get a taster of a song that they hadn't heard before. And the response was so good from everyone, like all around. Some people weren't sure on other new songs than others, but this was the one where it was like, it felt like people really understood what we were trying to do. So yeah, in the end it was great to put a video out, and also I always think whenever you do something like that, it solidifies its place in the set list as well.
Let's talk a little bit about the actual recording of those sort of, at least for Architects, non-traditional instruments. Where were they recorded? How were they recorded? What were the sessions like? And then how did you meld it into something?
Well, it was really difficult because obviously at the time we were doing that, it was like peak COVID. So it was like real strict regulations. So me and Dan actually listened into the recording of these French horns. And I think these were done it was either Norway or Sweden at the time, because one of them wasn't locked down as strong as somewhere else. So we had managed to get their orchestra to do it. And listening in on it was just unreal. It's just an amazing moment where you hear these demo versions that we put together when we're writing, but then as soon as you hear that, it really does just take it to the next level and make it really special. And also the fact that we managed to do it during what was going on. We really had to think outside the box to continue with the ideas that we had for the record, and we really made it happen.
And then when it comes to mixing that, because that was sort of a soundscape you guys were probably a little bit unfamiliar with, tell me how you make it work.
Well, Zach is an amazing engineer, a producer, sorry. And he actually, I think he just did that Danny Elfman record as well, which is obviously like going to have insane amounts of strings on it. But I think he more importantly knows, what we like as a band and what we want to hear. And we always send over sort of like guide mixes before stuff and just a rough idea, because we always have so much going on like in our songs that it would be easy for some bits to fall by the way if you didn't know how important they were.
When those things are flying back and forth, when you're listening to different mixes, without getting too deep in the weeds, are you drop boxing all this stuff to one another? And are there safety issues in terms of, I hope I don't email this to the wrong person, because then they're going to be printing up discs in Singapore? I mean, how does it all work?
Yeah, you have to be pretty tight with emails and especially with things like Dropbox and WeTransfers. And you just have to have like professional accounts and make sure, because like, I'm one of those people that even when I put something like on my laptop, when I'm putting it on my phone, I'm like, oh, cool. So is this, when I'm pressing this button, is the whole world going to hear this? Am I accidentally uploading this to Architect's Apple Music page? Like, who knows?
You mentioned the Royal Albert Hall gig in there. For those here in the States who are not familiar, can you give some background on the Royal Albert Hall, which could be the greatest concert venue anywhere on the planet? and then give me specifics of the gig that you guys did there. Sadly, I've been outside it and I've done photographs of it, but I've never been on the inside. So if you can kind of walk us through.
It's an amazing, amazing venue. I think it's probably one of the only venues in the world where actually your production doesn't matter. I think when you walk in there, it just does it for you. It looks incredible. And obviously there's so many iconic moments and pieces of history that have happened in there. And, you know, it's sort of like a who's who of the bands, you know, speaking of, you know, like the Who have played it, Floyd, Beatles, Hendrix, Dylan, Stones, you name it. It's Clapton, Cream. It's like the holy grail of British venues. So to do it was amazing, and I think we really wanted to do something special because it felt like we were putting out an album that we had put a lot of effort into and a lot of hard work and time into, and we weren't able to tour it at that point in time. It was you know, normally you release a couple of singles and then you're on the road and you're playing these songs to people and building the momentum yourself. So yeah, we had to think, what can we do here? And the Royal Albert Hall was something that we've always wanted to do, and we've always dreamed of playing it with an audience, but we knew that we could make it really special without, and we knew that if there was any venue in the world that would look beautiful empty, it was the Royal Albert Hall. And yeah, it's that place has got some serious stories. You know, there's so many amazing records. I mean, I bought a record. I've always listened to Dylan, but Dylan played there in 1969, and I got a bootleg of that record the other day, and was listening to it on my record player, just being like, so mad that we did that. You know, you're like, oh, we just did the same room that the Beatles did in '64 and Dylan did in '69, and the fact that there's still that venue standing and looking that good is amazing.
When you get to a big gig like that, especially in a historic place, as great as you guys are live, you're certainly seasoned veterans. Are you thinking in the back of your head, man, it's really important that we don't stink today?
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those things where you have to, it's almost like for the first song, you just overthink everything and you're like, oh my God, terrible. This is so bad. And then you have to just trust your instinct of like, okay, no, I've done this for 15, 16 years. It's okay. You know, take a breath, have a drink of gin and have a bit of tequila or something, and just, you know, focus on the good times.
What is the backstage like there? What are the dressing rooms? What are the loading docks like? Because again, I've been to a lot of the major concert halls on this planet, but never Royal Albert Hall. Sometimes you get to a place like that, and it can be kind of dumpy. What's the setup like there?
It was like a locker room. One of the main rooms was like a locker room. So I mean, they used to. There was like two or three, and I obviously used to massive orchestras going in there. So one of the rooms was like literally a locker room with like coat hangers and everything on it. And the other one was just quite a small room, but we were lucky that no one was in there. So they just gave us one of the suites, the VIP suites where people are normally, you know, schmoozing and doing that. And we sort of had free reign of the venue for 2 days. So it was really cool.